Okay, so you guys can hear me. All right. So welcome to today's market analysis. And so what we want to do today is to first look at the major macro events and how we can navigate around them. Okay, because they're really very important. And also, we're going to do some technical analysis, whereby I'll first look at some of the watch list that I have. I mean, setups I have on my watch list, and now I plan to prepare myself for them. And also, if you have any other one, we're gonna have a Q&A session where if you have any instrument you want us to look at together, you can also drop it there. So if you have anyone that is not part of the trade, part of the watch list that I'm sharing with you, so you can also drop any other one so that we can look at it together. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to take you to the browser now, and then we're going to look at the economic calendar. And so today is Thursday, August 4th, and I'm on the Forex Factory economic calendar. And so the big event coming today is the Bank of England Monetary Policy Report, right? So earlier this week, we had a similar report from the Reserve Bank of Australia. And last week we had one from the FOMC, that's the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States. Okay. So what the market is expecting, according to what we have here, is a 50 basis point rate hike. So that means the market is expecting that the Bank of England will raise the interest rate from 1.25% to 1.75%. That's a 0.5% or 50 basis point rate hike. Okay. Now, when the bank increase the interest rate like that, the indication is that normally the currency should go up, but it also very much depends on the sentiment on ground. Okay, the sentiment on ground now is that inflation is so high to the point that the bank needs to get more aggressive. So the Bank of Canada, the last Bank of Canada report, the Bank of Canada had actually, they've raised the bar. So they were the first among the major banks to hike by 100 basis points. So it now looks as if anything that's less than that now, the market is seeing it as a bearish one for the currency. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't exactly it doesn't really matter if the bank increase the interest rate. What matters is how much of the increase. That's what it is now. So that means the bank can increase the interest rate and still the currency is going to drop. So when you see that, don't be surprised. Okay. So last week, the Fed Bank, that's the Federal Reserve of the United States, they increased the interest rate by 75 basis points, very high. That did not stop the US dollar to drop. Okay, because the market is kind of seeing a 100 basis point as the standard now. Okay, they're seeing it as the standard. So anything less than that now, it looks as if the market is not really seeing it as enough. Okay, so similarly, we had Aussie Australian dollar pairs dropped yesterday, if you noticed. Yes, very early. Okay, on Tuesday, rather, very early on Tuesday. That was because, yes, that was a 50%, 0.5% hike. Yeah, that's a 50 basis point rate hike from the Australian Central Bank. But Australian dollar still went down. So I won't really be surprised if the same thing happened today. If the Bank of England, if they made the market expectation, okay, and they raised rates to 1.75%, that's 50% basis point rate hike, I think the GBP is also going to drop. Okay, one thing we also notice is that when these currencies drop, the drop, okay, is not really a trend defining one. It might be a drop that might last for a few hours, okay, maybe even for a day, or maybe before we start seeing some reversals. All right. So if the Bank of England, if they hike rate by 50 basis points today, the way the market is expecting, and we see some bearish reaction, one can actually look for fast selling opportunity, but I don't really advise one to stay long on it. Big 50 pips, you get out, something like that. Okay. Now let's now look at the other. The only way one can actually stay in a very, I mean, on that trade if it comes out bearish is if the Bank of England now do less than 50 basis points, which is like it's not really going to be possible at this point. Okay. Let's say they do 25 basis points instead of 1.25 to 1.75, they now increase from 1.25 to 1.5. And that's going to be very bearish for the pound. I don't think that's going to have, the minimum is going to be 50. But if they go above like 75, like 75, for me, I think if I see 75, I might not really be interested in it because you're never really exactly going to tell if the market sees 75, okay, for the Bank of England enough. Okay, so it's just very important to wait for the market reaction first. If you see 75 basis point. But if we see 100 basis point hike, then I think the pound is going to jump up. All right. Number one, they exceeded market expectation. Okay, they exceeded market expectation. So if that happens, we're going to see the pound up. If we see 75 basis point, we can see the pound jump up as well. But that might come with some kind of whipsaws, up move, down move, and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm more opined that I'm much more bias. I have my bias more towards the 50 basis points, which I believe the market has already priced in all that, and the pound is going to drop, and then the 100 basis point, which I think is going to shock the market expectation. Okay, but 75 don't really know exactly, although it's more than expectation, but one does not really know exactly how it's going to, how the market is going to react to that. Okay, so that's all just my opinion. But if you don't really know how to go about this, maybe if you have a GBP currency pair that you're already trading, maybe you should just tighten things up or take some profit. Or if you are planning to open the trade before that time, maybe 30 minutes before that, maybe you should just consider not doing that. Okay, because this event can be volatile. So, but let's look at some GBP currency pairs and let's see. So there are actually 3 currency pairs on GBP that I'm looking at that I mean for the BOE today. The first is the GBP Chf. And as you can see, the GBP Chf has really been in a sideways move. So I'm actually thinking of a triangle pattern. Imagine, although we just have A, B, C, that's like the third leg. The third leg has not even ended. We don't know if it's going to shoot above here or it's going to be concrete. Okay, so if they come at 50 basis point high, I think that means that GBP Chf is going to continue in this sideways move. So we're going to most likely see a move down like this, and then maybe a rebound later to complete the triangle and then a fall. So if you are looking for a currency pair, you want to trade maybe this week or next week, can add a CHF to it. So if the BOE comes dovish for the pound today, most likely see a drop to 1.154 and then wait for the triangle to be well formed. A pattern is only tradable when it is complete structurally. Okay, so these ones are just forecast. They are not trading opportunities, all these ones. So the triangle is going to end here when it gives us those 5 legs. All right. When it gives us those 5 legs, A, B, C, D, E, then it's going to end. It is when it ends that we cannot look for opportunities. Okay, maybe look for a confirmation pattern around there on the lower time frames, or you wait for price to react, and then maybe you trade a retracement or you trade a breakout or whatever entry strategy you prefer. Okay, we've talked about entry strategies in our intermediate classes, right? So that's the first one. The second one is, of course, the pound dollar itself. So the pound dollar has been, moving up gradually. I discussed with us these patterns, right? Diagonal, completing a diagonal, and the pound is still really moving up. And normally I have targets. I have my eyes around here, okay, for the targets. So if the BOE comes dovish today at 50 basis point and the market reacts dovishly, I think we might actually see some correction. But just like I said, some correction downwards. Just like I said, also, it doesn't really mean that the GBP is going to, if 50 BPS is what we have from the BOE today. Doesn't really mean that even if the GBP is bearish, it doesn't mean that it's going to be fast. Okay, just going to be some, move maybe down to some retracement level. Okay, let me pick the retracement to maybe down to 50%, around 1.205 psychology, or maybe 1.20 psychological levels, maybe around here. Okay. So if that happens, then I think there's going to be some kind of rebound, because I still think price is still going to continue upwards. Okay, so this might be a kind of discount buying for us. If price comes here, maybe one can start looking for fresh opportunities. Okay, so maybe you look for TTS setups on the maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour, because this higher time frame, of course, on the higher hourly time frames. So that's how you can, of course, trade the TTS with the chart patterns and the general market macros. All right. So of course, this is also we remember this. Let me change this color. I think we remember, if we can remember, this head and shoulder pattern. So price has moved up. There is a likelihood that it's going to make a rebound to this neckline again. Okay, coupled with the 50% retracement. All right. And afterwards, if we're now able to see some reaction here, I think we might start seeing fresh bullish opportunities. All right, up to here or here. Okay, so I'm going to update you on how this goes. So let's see how the FO, how the BOE monetary policy report, how it shapes the GBP USD, so that we can then see how we're going to get in with this. But on the other hand, if the report comes out at maybe 75 basis point or 100 basis point, so definitely I think we're going to see, especially if we get a 100 basis point, I think we're going to see a sharp move upwards. That'll break above here and then run to 1.26. All right. Yeah. So 100 basis point means, yeah, you have the technicals and the fundamentals all lining together. Okay. Because from the technical, it still looks bullish right here. Okay. But 50 basis points, a correction down to this place, most probably, and then a bounce up there is what we're going to be looking for. Maybe we can then see some kind of a zigzag pattern there. Okay. And then look for confirmation on the lower time frame to see what reversal pattern we get around there. And the third currency pair I'm going to watch for the BOE is the Euro GBP. We also talked about this in the class, right? This big head and shoulder with confirmation. There has a confirmation with this small head and shoulder. And we add this breakout of the big head and shoulder. So we might, of course, get a retracement to the 50% retracement. Okay, because the trade setup that happened here was actually the very early one that makes you to be able to trade even the shoulder of the pattern. This is exactly where the pattern completes. This big pattern just completed. Okay, so some people might have found entry here with stop loss here, which of course is really very big because of the size of this shoulder. So a 50% retracement sell will be better. All right. So if the BOE comes out dovish for the pound dollar, I think we're going to see the Euro GBP retrace them to this 50% retracement or 61.8% retracement level. All right. So that's what I think for this. That's what I think could happen. So retracement to this place. Retracement right to this place between 0.8450 and 84.86, and then maybe price can then start coming down again. All right, so just watch for what happen around here. Okay, you can even switch to the 15-minute time frame and see if you're able to get some reversal pattern around there so that you can get in early. All right, and mind you, this is 4-hour time frame, so if there is a setup, one will have to wait maybe for some days. So there won't be any need to panic about it. All right. And so stop loss also have to be put normally, okay, in a good place. So maybe around here, or if you're able to find reversal pattern around there, trade the reversal pattern on the lower time frame and put the stop loss according to the lower time frame, while you target towards 82.50 or maybe even 82. So let's now look at the other currency pair. So I discussed CAD CHF with us yesterday, and we looked at this this expanding diagonal structure that ended with this ending diagonal, head and shoulder pattern here. So we talked about looking at a big higher time frame pattern and then find an entry with a lower time frame pattern. So on the 15-minute time frame, we're able to get this head and shoulder structure here, right? That's from the entry. And of course, the target. So we also even have another head and shoulder here, which we looked for 50% retracement, didn't get it, but the person that if somebody else traded the breakout here, will have actually made some profit here. So I still really do think that yeah, this is not done yet. In fact, we're having another head and shoulder coming up, still within here, within this structure. So you're having another head and shoulder. You have this shoulder here, you have this head here, and another shoulder might happen. So that means if your target has not been hit yet, another correction might still happen to maybe 84.50 to get in new buyers. Right? So they get a new buyer, maybe to 74.60 or 74.50 or thereabout, to attract new buyers. As I actually really think that we should be able to see Gbp Chf jump to 0.76. Okay, maybe to complete a zigzag structure like this. A, B, C, around 0.76. That's like the final target. Okay, but this is going to be gradual and maybe quite, it won't just jump up there. So it's going to be gradual, as we have seen. That's really been a steady currency pair, okay, for some time now. So that's the game plan for the Gbp Chf. So if I've been able to find an entry here, you can book profit maybe around 75.10 or 7500. That should be able to give you 1 to 5 risk reward as recommended on the group. 1 to 5 risk reward, but just know that we might have another one here, and that can give us another entry. Okay, although that one might not really be of very big risk reward. Okay, maybe enter with it depends on what the size of this the second shoulder is. Okay, so you know how to go about that, right? Okay, so I'm gonna give us update. Gonna be having daily update. So euro yen. So Japanese yen pairs have been falling. They have been rising just as very much expected. So we have this channel here. Sorry, this zigzag. So you can see this. We actually discussed this when we discussed this on when we had the zigzag class. That should be last week. See this impulse move, zigzag, impulse move, zigzag, and price is pushing up again. Okay, so pushing up off this key level that we looked at, that I actually talked about. I actually suggested yesterday that you should just maybe consider some buying on euro yen, New Zealand yen, dollar yen. Okay, just maybe like 1 or 2 of them, just picking something from there. And so far today we've seen 82 pips or 90 pips on euro yen alone. And I think we should see more, at least up to 137. 0.29 or 0.3 before we start seeing some correction. Okay, so price goes up, make some correction, and then we have an opportunity to get in again. So if you are not in a position to buy, just wait for the next correction, and then we'll see what goes on from there. But if you have already entered that trade since yesterday, when it was recommended, you can take it up to 137.3, 137 point, around there. Okay, we have this place here. This support or resistance there. Okay, so just take it to around that, around here. Okay, or maybe even here, because we have price might actually fill up this big candle here and even go to 130 before we start seeing the correction. But I know we're going to see a correction. We're definitely going to see a correction. Okay, so just take good profit from here. And yesterday I talked about this head and shoulder, right? I said we should check the head and shoulder on the lower time frame to confirm that. So you see this price is breaking above the head and shoulder now. All right, so if we project it, maybe we can use the projection for the target, so you can see. So that means you can get up to 138. So just going up gradually like this till it gets to 137 and 138. So that means there is a potential of peaking between 100 and 200 pips from this one. Okay. Of course, stop loss here. So as price goes up, you can adjust the stop loss here. Okay. So that when you see another opportunity, you can get in while you take risk of this one. So I'm going to push other Japanese MPS because I actually, recommended them yesterday for us on the group. So the same thing is what we've, in fact, New Zealand Japanese yen has been even stronger, right? It's been stronger. So far today, the currency pair has done, 60 something pips. Okay, maybe not as, in terms of pips value, maybe not as big as euro yen, right? So it's gone up there. And what happened? Another zigzag, right? ABC. And our prices has actually gotten to the neckline here. I think it might actually push above it. Okay, but at some point, we're going to see correction as well. So if we want to get into this, I think if you have not really gotten into the trade as recommended yesterday, I think you should wait for some correction. And then we'll look at what happened from there. So I'm going to update you. Also, we have Aussie yen as well. See the nice push. Zigzag also, right? Big candle on the 4-hour. Price has been going up. So same thing, wait for correction. We have not really found an entry yesterday because we had some pause moments yesterday. So that was the time to get in. And CAD Japanese yen also, I think that one is running towards 107. It doesn't look like a zigzag. It wouldn't have been a trade to consider actually, because not really zigzag. So but what we're having here, it's looking like an incoming head and shoulder, right? It looks like that, right? You have this shoulder, you have this head, and another shoulder might happen it. So that means price might rally further, or maybe you can call it maybe a triple top. Okay, because the levels are pretty close. Maybe a triple top or something. So when price gets here between 107 and 107.5, all right, I am going to go to the lower time frame and check if I can see a reversal signal so that I can be able to trade from the very high here and maybe take it to the neckline. All right, so that's the game plan for this one. So I'm waiting for a triple top or head and shoulder around 107, between 107 and 107.5. So take note of that. All right. Dollar yen also recommended buying opportunity on that as well. So we have this head and shoulder coming up. Shoulder, head, shoulder. We traded this head and shoulder last week. We looked at this, right? And price really moved very, very much downwards. So we're having a bigger one now. Okay, we're having a bigger one now. And it's still ongoing actually. And I think price is going to get to this former congested level. Or maybe let's just use our Fibonacci. All right, maybe around 50 to 61.8. So that's between 135, 136, 137. I think it's going to climb right up there to complete the second shoulder. Okay, so we can now look for reaction around there. Of course, it might end up violating the pattern. That's why we need to look for reversal signals, maybe on the lower time frame, maybe a diagonal, maybe another head and shoulder like we had for that Euro GBP. Okay, or maybe we just wait for reaction right here and then trade the pattern. Okay, instead of just trading the shoulder of the pattern. If you are trading the shoulder of the pattern, that means you have to go to the lower time frame to check for a bearish setup there, right here. If not, you wait for price to come right here, and then wait for maybe to trade the breakout or to trade the retracement. Trade the retracement 50, put stop loss above here, and then target towards here. So it's really is a potential big trading opportunity. So something that we need to just watch out for. It's not a trade right now. All right. So Aussie dollar is another currency pair I'm watching closely. So we have this key level here that was firstly broken and price has come back. And I do really think that we're going to have a reversal back to that level. So around 0.6850 psychological level around here. This zone here. So also within this structure, we have a head and shoulder, which means that there is a potential for reversal right here, right? So if the price comes here, what will I do? I wait for I look for a reversal pattern on the lower time frame, so that I can be able to get entry on time, and I can target maybe a 1 to 6, 1 to 7, 1 to 8 risk reward trade. But if not, and let's say price doesn't do that, and it doesn't come right here, because this is still a shoulder, the shoulder, head, and shoulder. Okay, still a shoulder, right? Still a viable one. So if it doesn't come here and we see a break above here, then we can look for buying opportunity there. Stop loss here and target here or here, around 0.73 or 0.745 or 0. That much. But ideally, I think 0.7450. Okay. Or if you want to, that's going to be like what risk reward now? Let's say we got an entry here, say stop loss here, and then target around here. That's going to be around 1 to 2. So if you want more, you can get, of course, you can do the 50% retracement entry. Okay, let's say the price broke out and then started retracement from here. And this is just an example, just a model. I'm not saying price is going to exactly reverse around here. So that one is going to be potentially 1 to 4, 1 to 3.75 or something risk reward. So let's see what happens. Are we going to see a return to this place to give us a deeper second shoulder, or the second shoulder is completed? So that's why we need to wait. Okay, but my own first choice is further move to this place, and the reason is that I'll wait for reversal pattern so that I can get in early and then take massive risk reward ratio from here. Okay, so take note of that as well. So EuroCAD, now EuroCAD, it's after breaking below these multiple levels, this triple bottom here. Ordinarily, we're starting to see some correction there, but there are different patterns we can get from here. The first is the first thing we can actually get here is a triangle. If I bring this and this away, a triangle. As you can see, it's gone sideways. But of course, the triangle has not yet completed. So this is going to be the A, the B, the C, maybe the D, and then the E. So we have to see more move, like this, something like this, and then we can look for bearish opportunity around 1.32 psychological level, maybe slightly below it. So that's one way. It's not yet complete. Another one is we might actually have a zigzag. We might actually see price go further upside and touch the skill level here, or maybe the stop here before it starts going down. So that means if that happens, we're going to wait for reaction, bearish reaction around here before we sell. Okay. Another thing that can happen is we might also have a diagonal. Okay. We might have a diagonal or maybe a triple bottom, but I think a diagonal is more suitable here. Look at that. So we might have a diagonal right into this place. A diagonal right into this place, and price bounces off and make a correction up to here before we now start seeing further move downwards. So these are the three scenarios I'm watching for on EuroCAD. All right, those are three things. So I'll wait for any of them to complete. Okay, so I'll wait for any of them to complete before I take action. So as a trader, you need that waiting time. There's going to be a waiting time, definitely. You have to wait. Okay, so take note of that as well. And then also CHF. For the CHF, I'm looking at this a zigzag pattern. So the first move here, the second leg, and the third leg is happening. And we have a key resistance zone at the top. Also, that zone, that's like the 50% retracement of this move from here to here. 50% retracement, key support and resistance zone, top of it, of this channel. And maybe even, we have a lot of confluences here, all right? So that might really be very vital for the market, all right? So we also have 100% Fibonacci projection. You can see 100% projection of here from here, 50% retracement of this one here, support down resistance zone. the top of the channel. Very, very massive key level here to watch out for. All right. So I'm going to just be patient to, wait for price to get in here. It is now around here that I will look for opportunities. I will go to the lower time frame and look for those reversal patterns that I like trading. All right. So if I'm able to get that, this is going to be a really, really very good trade, as I will just, this correction, I can then sell the next impulse. Okay. Breaking below here, below 0.64, maybe down to 0.62. All right. So take note of that as well. Take note of that. Then you have New Zealand dollar. New Zealand dollar is very similar to the Aussie dollar. If you still remember the Aussie dollar, we're looking at two options. We have this key zone here. We have this fake breakout of the zone with this diagonal price pushed up. And we're waiting. I'm actually looking forward to another leg down to this place to complete this head and shoulder. Although we can't really say the head and shoulder is not complete yet. But perhaps we might get one more leg here. I can wait for reaction setup. Bearish setup on the lower time frame around here. And then I can buy in it. Or if we see a breakout from here, then I'm still going to say, okay, this head and shoulder is completed. And then I can trade that accordingly, whether to take 50% retracement entry or to trade the breakout. Okay, so note that as well, please. And I'm going to update us, of course, but we also need to follow up. Okay, so we have the Gbp Aussie, which is kind of sideways. So I'm having two outlook for that. It's either we have a triangle pattern, which might have ended here, but I always want the triangle, the E leg, to come right here. Okay, so possibly if this can get to this place, if we can see one more leg right to 0.77 or above, it is around there. I'll be looking for bearish setups on the lower time frame so that I can sell, because this is still a bearish trend. What we're having here is just a pause that is taking so long. All right, triangle. Okay, and if the price breaks above here to violate the triangle, then I'm going to be looking forward to what? A zigzag. I'm going to be looking forward to a zigzag instead. Okay, so you can have 2 or 3 patterns that you're watching on the currency pair, and you just know when one is viable, okay, to trade, okay, and which one to prefer at what point or the other. So if I'm going to choose the one to prefer, and it's going to be the triangle, all right, because this has actually been sideways. Zigzags are not usually this sideways. Okay, this is a typical triangle. Okay, but alternatively, if the price breaks above it, I have an alternative outlook to that. Okay, and then New Zealand CHF, New Zealand just like the Aussie CHF, a zigzag upcoming. So I'm looking for price to get in here, because of course we have a zone here, right? I have this zone here. Price has already gotten there. Okay, but I think it's going to go higher. It's going to go, deeper into the zone around 0.61 psychological level. I have my alarm there. So price, once it gets here, I'll be waiting for a bearish reaction there, bearish reversal pattern on the 15-minute or 30-minute time frame, so that I can be able to trade a continuation, okay, of this trend here. Trend, correction, okay, or impulse, correction, impulse, something like that. So just watch what happened around prices around 0.61 here. Okay. And then the CHF Japanese yen. Okay, that's another Japanese yen pair, another zigzag, just like we had for Euro yen. Okay. And just the same thing applies to this one as well. Might actually see further move upside, maybe to 0.140.5 or there. But I think we're going to have a correction at some point. So that can give fresh buyers an opportunity to get in again. Okay, because this is really even much clearer. You have an impulse, you have a correction that is moderate in terms of depth. It's around 61.8%. Okay, this is bullish also. All right. But it all depends on where you give. You're not able to get in somewhere around there, I think, unless maybe let's look at the 15-minute time frame. Unless you go to the 15-minute time frame and then you look for a continuation pattern there, maybe a triangle or something, so that you can get in. Okay, but personally, I like trading from the IR time frame, 1 hour, 4 hours, or 2 hours. So price moved up, and then we have some correction before it continues. That's what I think is most likely going to happen. And the New Zealand card, yes, New Zealand card is also is actually really struggling to move up or down. So we had this head and shoulder following this ending diagonal the other time, and then entry was just somewhere around the price moved up, but it's not really been able to sustain that. So I'm now looking at a zigzag, okay, with this head and shoulder. Look at this head and shoulder here coming. So you have a zigzag and a head and shoulder. So just watch out for that. So we have this breakout zone here. I mean, fake breakout zone here. Price has already gotten there. Okay, so if we are able to see a reaction on the 15-minute time frame around here, I think it can be a selling opportunity. So this is the lower time frame. Do we have a reaction here? Do we have something like maybe a diagonal or something? Do we have a head and shoulder here? Do we have a triple top or something? All those reversal patterns, do we have them here? So that's the question. To get something like that, then I think that can be an opportunity to sell on New Zealand card downwards. Otherwise, we're going to see it push above here and then contest with this level and give us something different. Okay, so look for what happened on the 15-minute time frame. Okay, this is very, very close to a setup. And then Aussie New Zealand dollar, which is going to be the last one. I'm looking at a diagonal emerging at the top after price has been steadily moving up. Aussie has been gaining over the New Zealand steadily. This is not a currency pair that really trends well because of the similarities, the similar nature of the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. So they kind of edge each other out. So we have a diagonal emerging. So I'm going to wait for the end of this diagonal around above here, of course, above 1.117, maybe towards 1.12 or slightly below it. Right, that's what I'm going to wait for. Let me put this one up there. Okay, so if this completes, then I'm going to wait for reversal pattern around there. Okay, so those are the instruments I have on my watch list. Those are the instruments I have on my watch list from the chart pattern perspective. So that's it, guys, for today's morning analysis, and we're going to see again tomorrow. So if you have any other one you want us to look at, maybe in the next in the next 10 minutes, please drop it. All right, so thank you very much, guys. Okay, and we're going to see again tomorrow. So we'll end this one, yeah, since we don't have any. So I have a question from this. Says we didn't look at the GBP yen in the MPS because GBP yen is not really on my list. So I only talked about the ones on my list. So if you have anyone you want us to look at, okay, can point to it. To have China says New Zealand JPY. We've already looked at New Zealand JPY, right? Yeah, we've looked at New Zealand JPY. So we looked at it, talked about it. All right, so any other one before we close the meeting, and then we'll come back tomorrow. So we'll continue other things on the group. Okay, guys. So gonna see you again tomorrow in a similar analysis video. So take care. Bye.